Captain Tay stood on the bridge of the Harmony's Voice, watching the stars drift past the viewport. His hands were clasped behind his back, a habit from his 20 years in the Colonial Defense Force. The ship was small compared to the warships he used to command, but today it carried something far more important than weapons. Today it carried humanity's hope. Behind him, Ambassador G reviewed her notes for the 10th time that morning. She was younger than Tay, barely 40, with sharp eyes and a smile that put people at ease. She had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. First contact, the day humanity would finally meet the other intelligent species of the galaxy. How long until we reach the Nexus? She asked, her voice steady despite her obvious nerves. 4 hours, Tay replied. The Coalition ships are already waiting for us. Lieutenant Juan looked up from his tactical station. He was the youngest officer on the bridge, with quick hands and even quicker instincts. 7 vessels detected, Captain. They're maintaining a defensive formation around the station. Defensive, G repeated with a slight frown. I thought this was supposed to be a peaceful meeting. It is, Tay said. But they don't know us yet. They're being careful. We would do the same. Dr. Mi entered the bridge carrying her data pad. She was humanity's leading expert on alien biology. Though she had never actually met an alien, everything she knew came from the few transmissions humanity had intercepted over the years. Ambassador, I've prepared the cultural briefings you requested. The Vraxians value directness. The Talani prefer formal greetings. The Orathi communicate through color changes in their skin, so watch for that. G nodded, absorbing the information. And what do we tell them about us? The truth, Dr. Mi said. Mostly we're explorers. We seek knowledge and friendship. We have 15 colonies across 7 star systems. We're peaceful. And we don't mention our military capabilities, Tay added quietly. G met his eyes. Because we want them to see us as friends, not threats. Or because we want them to underestimate us, Juan muttered from his station. Lieutenant, Tay's voice carried a warning edge. Sorry, sir. Just thinking out loud. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what Juan was thinking. 50,000 kilometers behind them, completely invisible to every sensor in the galaxy, the UNSC Tempest Fury kept pace with their small diplomatic vessel. The battleship was humanity's greatest secret, a weapon so advanced that even the crew of Harmony's Voice didn't know its full capabilities. Commander Sung and his crew watched everything, ready to intervene if the peaceful meeting turned violent. But G didn't believe it would come to that. She had read every transmission from the Galactic Coalition. They spoke of peace, of unity, of bringing new species into their family. They had been exploring the stars for thousands of years while humanity was still learning to fly. Surely they had wisdom that came with such age. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. Audio and visual. Put it through, Tay ordered. The main screen flickered to life. A creature appeared that made Dr. Mi gasp in wonder. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its elongated head, and its skin shifted through shades of blue and green. A Vraxian, she realized, one of the Coalition's founding species. I am Ambassador Krell of the Vraxian Concordat, the alien said in perfect English, though its voice had a strange musical quality. Welcome to the Vela Nexus. We have been waiting to meet you. G stepped forward, her diplomatic training taking over. Ambassador Krell, I am G of Earth, representing humanity. We are honored by your welcome and grateful for this opportunity to meet. Krell's skin shifted to a warmer shade of gold, which Dr. Mi had noted meant approval. Your species is young, but your transmissions show promise. You build well. You think clearly. The Council wishes to know more about your people. We have much to share, G replied. Our art, our science, our dreams for the future. And your military strength? Krell asked. The question was casual, almost friendly, but Tay felt his shoulders tense. G didn't hesitate. We have defense forces, of course. Every species must protect its people, but we did not come here to speak of war. We came to speak of peace. Krell's skin rippled with colors Tay couldn't interpret. Of course. Dock at Bay 7. We will meet properly in 1 hour. There is much to discuss. The transmission ended. She let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. That went well, don't you think? Maybe too well, Juan said. He asked about our military right away. They're curious, G countered. That's natural. Or they're afraid, Dr. Mi added softly. We appeared in their galaxy without warning. They don't know what we're capable of. Fear makes people ask questions. Tay watched the Nexus grow larger on the screen. It was a massive structure, bigger than any human city, with ships from a dozen different species docked along its arms. For 2 centuries, humanity had explored the stars alone, always careful, always hidden. They had developed their stealth technology specifically to avoid detection until they were ready, until they were strong enough to protect themselves. Now the moment had come. They were revealing themselves to the galaxy, and Tay couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The way Krell had asked about their military, the defensive formation of the coalition ships, the slight delay before the welcome message came through. Small things. Maybe nothing. "All hands, prepare for docking procedures," he announced. "Ambassador, you should get ready. You're about to make history." G smiled, but Tay noticed it didn't quite reach her eyes. She felt it too, he realized. The uncertainty, the risk. But they were committed now. Humanity had spent 200 years preparing for this moment. They had hidden their strength, developed their technology in secret, and built a military force that could defend them if peaceful contact failed. But G believed in the better path. She believed that the galaxy had room for one more species, that the coalition would welcome them with open arms. She believed in peace. Tay hoped she was right, because 50,000 kilometers away, Commander Sung and the Tempest's Fury waited in perfect silence, invisible and deadly, just in case she was wrong. The Harmony's voice glided into the docking bay, and humanity took its first real step into a galaxy full of strangers. Whether they would become friends or enemies, only time would tell. 3 weeks had passed since the first meeting at the Vela Nexus, and Ambassador G was starting to believe everything would work out. She sat in the Coalition's grand conference hall, surrounded by representatives from 7 different species. They had signed 3 trade agreements already. Human music had become unexpectedly popular among the Tilani. The cultural exchanges were going better than anyone had hoped, but Captain Tay wasn't smiling. He stood in the Harmony's voice observation deck with Lieutenant Juan, watching a Coalition science vessel move through space near them. It was the 3rd scan they had detected this week. Not aggressive, not threatening, just curious. Too curious. "They're mapping our emission signature," Juan said quietly. "Building a profile of our technology." "That's standard procedure," Tay replied, though his tone suggested he didn't quite believe it. "They want to understand us. Or they're looking for something," Juan insisted. "Sir, with your permission, I'd like to run a passive sensor sweep. See if I can intercept their communications." Tay hesitated. Intercepting Coalition transmissions could be seen as an act of mistrust, maybe even an act of war. But something in his gut told him Juan was right. "Do it, but keep it quiet. If anyone asks, you were just calibrating the sensors." 2 days later, Dr. Mi burst into Ty's quarters without knocking. Her hand shook as she held up her datapad. "Captain, you need to see this. Juan intercepted something. It's encrypted, but I managed to break through part of it." Tay read the partial translation. His blood went cold. The message was from the Coalition science vessel to their High Council. It spoke of anomalies in human space, energy signatures that didn't match the technology they had been shown, mass readings that suggested hidden ships. The word military appeared 17 times in the fragment Mi had decoded. "They know," Mi whispered. "They know we're hiding something." "They suspect," Tay corrected. "But they don't have proof." "Not yet. What do? We tell the ambassador. She needs to know what we're dealing with." But when they found G, she was in a private meeting with Ambassador Krell. Through the window, Tay could see the Vraxian's skin shifting through dark colors, not the warm golds of friendship. These were reds and purples. Anger, suspicion. The door slid open and G stepped out, her face pale. "We have a problem." They moved to a secure room on the Harmony's voice. G sank into a chair, looking older than she had 3 weeks ago. "Krell just gave me an ultimatum. The Coalition High Council wants proof that we have no hidden military assets. They want us to allow inspection teams to visit our colonies and our space stations. They want access to our shipyards." "They're calling our bluff," Juan said. "What did you tell him?" Tay asked. "I said I needed to consult with Earth Command. But Captain, I think we should agree to the inspections. We have nothing to hide. Yes, we have defensive forces, but so does every species. If we're transparent, if we show them we're not a threat, this all goes away." Tay exchanged glances with Mi. "Ambassador, show her what you found." Mi handed over the datapad. She read the intercepted transmission, and her expression shifted from confusion to horror. This was sent 2 weeks ago. While they were smiling at us and signing trade agreements, they were already planning to investigate us. They don't trust us, Mi said, and I don't think inspections will change that. If they find our battleships, if they discover how advanced our weapons really are, they might see it as a threat. Or they might respect us for it, Ji argued. We can't build a relationship on lies. We didn't lie, Tay said carefully. We just didn't volunteer information. There's a difference. Is there? Ji's voice was sharp. Every species has secrets, Captain. But if we refuse the inspections, they'll assume the worst. If we accept them and they find our hidden fleet, they'll know we've been deceiving them all along. Either way, we lose. 50,000 kilometers away, Commander Sung listened to every word through the secure channel. He stood on the bridge of the Tempest's fury, his jaw tight. Lieutenant Na stood beside him, monitoring the coalition ships that were slowly moving into a new formation around the diplomatic vessel. They're boxing them in, Na observed. Not aggressive, but definitely positioning for control. How many ships now? Sung asked. 14. 3 more jumped in this morning. They're calling them escorts, but they're all military vessels. Chief Engineer Day looked up from his console. Commander, one of those ships is running active deep space scans. They're sweeping this entire sector. Will they detect us? Weapons Officer Hai asked, her young face showing concern. Not with our stealth systems, Day assured her, but they're definitely looking for something. For us, probably. Sung made a decision. Nah, send a coded burst transmission to Earth Command. Tell them the situation is deteriorating. Request instructions on whether we should maintain stealth or reveal ourselves as a show of strength. Yes, sir. Though at this distance we won't get a response for at least 6 hours. Then we wait, Sung said. And we watch. If those coalition ships make any hostile move toward Harmony's voice, we drop stealth immediately. Back on the diplomatic vessel, Ji had made her choice. I'm going to recommend to Earth Command that we accept the inspections. Full transparency. It's the only way forward. Tay wanted to argue, but he understood her reasoning. She was a diplomat. She had to believe in the peaceful solution. I hope you're right, Ambassador. So do I, Captain. Ji stood and straightened her uniform. I have another meeting with the Council in 2 hours. They want an answer. After she left, Juan turned to Tai. Sir, I know I'm out of line saying this, but I think we're walking into a trap. You're not out of line, Tay replied quietly. I think so too. But what choice do we have? If we run now, we prove we have something to hide. If we stay and refuse, same result. Our only option is to trust them. And if that trust is misplaced? Tay looked out at the coalition ships. Then Commander Sung and the Fury will have their answer about whether the galaxy is ready for humanity. Dr. Mi pulled up more data on her pad. Captain, there's something else. I've been analyzing coalition news feeds and public communications. There's almost nothing about us. No excitement about meeting a new species. No cultural interest. It's like they're keeping our existence quiet. Why would they do that? Juan asked. Because they haven't decided what to do with us yet. Tay said, the pieces falling into place. They're not treating this as first contact with a potential ally. They're treating it as a potential threat assessment. The 3 of them stood in silence, watching the coalition ships move into their positions. Somewhere out there, hidden in the darkness of space, the Tempest's fury waited. And on 13 other worlds, humanity's shadow fleet remained concealed, ready for the order that everyone hoped would never come. Ambassador Ji walked back toward the coalition conference hall, rehearsing her speech about transparency and trust. She truly believed this would work. She had to believe it because if she was wrong, if the galaxy wasn't ready to welcome humanity as equals, then the peaceful first contact she had worked her entire life to achieve would become the spark that lit a fire across the stars. Earth Command approved the inspections. Ambassador Ji received the message with relief flooding through her. Finally, they could prove their intentions were peaceful. Finally, the coalition would see that humanity wanted nothing more than to join the galactic community. She presented the decision to Ambassador Krell that evening. The Vraxian's skin shifted to pale yellow, which Dr. Mi said meant satisfaction. Your cooperation is appreciated, Ambassador Ji. The inspection teams will arrive at your colonies within 3 days. They will verify your military capabilities and ensure they pose no threat to coalition security. We understand, Ji replied. We have nothing to hide. Krell tilted his head in what might have been a nod. Of course. The High Council is pleased with humanity's willingness to be transparent. This shows wisdom. But Lieutenant Juan noticed something that made his blood run cold. As he monitored Coalition communications that night, he detected massive fleet movements. Ships were leaving their home ports and heading toward human space, not inspection vessels. Warships, dozens of them. Captain, Juan's voice was urgent as he called Tay to the bridge at Oro 300 hours. You need to see this. They're not sending inspection teams. They're sending battle groups. Tay studied the sensor data, his face growing harder with each passing second. How many ships? At least 60 confirmed. Maybe more. They're converging on all 3 of our outer colonies. Get the ambassador. Now. G arrived on the bridge still in her sleeping clothes, her hair uncombed, but her eyes were sharp and clear. What's happening? Tay showed her the fleet movements. These aren't inspection teams, Ambassador. These are invasion forces. G's face went pale. No, that can't be right. Krell promised. The High Council promised. They lied, Juan said bluntly. They were always going to attack. The inspections were just a way to find out where all our people are. Dr. Mi entered the bridge, her datapad in hand. Captain, I finally broke the rest of that encrypted transmission. You need to read this. She handed it to Gigi, read aloud, her voice shaking. The human species shows signs of aggressive expansion and technological advancement that threatens coalition stability. Their energy signatures suggest hidden military assets. Recommendation: neutralize before they become an existential threat. Approval granted by High Council. Execute Protocol Omega-7. When was this sent? She whispered. 5 days before we arrived at the Nexus, Mi replied. They decided to destroy us before they even met us. The bridge was silent. Then Tay's console lit up with urgent messages. Captain, emergency transmission from Colony 7. They're under attack. The speakers crackled with static and screaming. This is Colony 7. Coalition ships dropped out of fold space without warning. They're firing on our orbital platforms. We have no defenses. Repeat, we have no... The transmission cut off in a burst of interference. Another channel opened. Colony 3, then Colony 12. All the same story. Coalition warships appearing in orbit. No warning. No demands for surrender. Just immediate, overwhelming firepower directed at civilian targets. How many casualties? She asked, her voice barely audible. Juan checked his console, his face grim. Colony 7 had 5 million people. Colony 3, 7 million. Colony 12, 3 million. If they're hitting the cities... He didn't finish. He didn't need to. G collapsed into a chair. Her diplomatic dream had become a nightmare. She had trusted them. She had convinced Earth Command to be transparent. And now millions of people were dying because of her faith in peaceful coexistence. Captain, the communications officer reported. Coalition soldiers are boarding us. They've overridden our airlock controls. Tay drew his sidearm. All crew to defensive positions. Juan, send a message to Commander Sung. Authorization, Ambassador G, Protocol Omega. Tell him all human life is in danger. Captain, wait. G stood, her voice stronger now. I authorized this disaster. Let me at least authorize the response. Send the message under my code. Tell Commander Sung that peace has failed. Tell him to do whatever is necessary to protect our people. The first explosion rocked the ship as coalition troops blasted through the inner airlock. Tay grabbed G and pulled her toward the command center's defensive position. Juan, send it now! Juan's fingers flew across his console. The encrypted burst transmission fired off toward the Fury's last known position. Message sent, sir. Coalition soldiers poured into the bridge. They were Vraxian shock troops, heavily armed and armored, energy weapons discharged. 2 of Ty's crew fell immediately. Dr. Mi dove behind a console, her datapad clattering across the floor. Tay returned fire, his human-made kinetic pistol proving effective against their shields. The aliens weren't used to physical projectiles. Their shields were designed for energy weapons. 3 attackers went down before they adapted. Fall back to auxiliary control, Tay ordered. We just need to buy time. Time for what, G wanted to ask, but she knew. Time for Sung to respond. Time for the hidden fleet to reveal itself. Time for humanity to show the coalition what they had really been hiding all along. The crew fought their way through the corridors of their own ship. More coalition soldiers waited at every turn. They were being herded, G realized. Pushed toward the command center where they could be trapped and eliminated. They barricaded themselves in the command center with the 6 remaining crew members. Tay checked his ammunition. 5 rounds left. Juan had 3. The others were down to emergency weapons. They had maybe 10 minutes before the coalition troops broke through. "I'm sorry," G said into the silence between energy weapon discharges. "I'm so sorry. I thought they wanted peace. I thought if we were just honest, if we showed them we meant no harm." "You did what you thought was right," Tay replied. "Sometimes the right thing still gets people killed." Dr. Me looked up from where she crouched behind an overturned desk. "For what it's worth, Ambassador, I believed in peace too. I think most of us did." The door began to glow red as the coalition soldiers cut through with plasma torches. 30 seconds, maybe less. Tay positioned his remaining crew for a final stand. They wouldn't go quietly. Then every light on the Harmony's voice flickered and died. Emergency systems kicked in, bathing everything in red. The ship's computer announced in a calm voice, "Warning. Massive energy discharge detected. Electromagnetic pulse in progress." Juan checked his console, which had somehow rebooted. His eyes went wide. "Captain, something just appeared on sensors. Right on top of us. It's huge." Through the command center's small viewport, they saw it. A massive human battleship, materializing from nowhere in a blinding flash of light. The Tempest's fury had dropped its stealth and it had come to war. Commander Sung stood on the bridge of the Tempest's fury as the stealth systems powered down. For 2 centuries, humanity had kept its true strength hidden. That era ended now. The massive battleship appeared on every coalition sensor in the sector. A ghost made solid, a nightmare made real. "All weapons hot," Sung ordered, his voice calm despite the pounding of his heart. "Target priority, vessels engaging Harmony's voice, fire." Weapons Officer High didn't hesitate. Her fingers danced across the weapons console. The Fury's railguns spoke first, magnetic accelerators launching tungsten projectiles at 5% of light speed. The rounds crossed the distance in seconds. 3 coalition destroyers never knew what hit them. Their shields, designed to deflect energy beams, did nothing against solid mass moving at relativistic speeds. The projectiles punched through hulls like paper, and the ships broke apart in silent explosions. The coalition fleet scrambled to respond. 14 warships turned their weapons toward this unexpected threat. Energy beams lanced across space, striking the Fury's hull. Lieutenant Na watched the damage report scroll across her screen. "Ablative armor holding," she reported. "Outer layer is scorched but intact. No penetration," Sung nodded. Human defensive technology was built on a different philosophy than the coalition's. They didn't use energy shields that could be overwhelmed. Instead, they layered armor, redundant systems, and damage control that could keep a ship fighting even after catastrophic hits. The Fury was designed to take punishment and keep coming. "Missile launch," High announced. 40 birds away. The missiles streaked toward the coalition fleet, their warheads primed with focused nuclear charges. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but human missiles were fast and maneuverable. Half got through. The detonations lit up space like miniature suns, overloading shields and frying sensor arrays. Chief Engineer Day monitored the power systems. "Reactor stable at 80%. We can maintain this pace indefinitely, Commander." "Good. Na, take a boarding team to Harmony's voice. Get our people out." Lieutenant Na grabbed her assault rifle and headed for the hangar bay. 20 Marines joined her, all wearing powered armor that made them look more like walking tanks than soldiers. They loaded into a dropship and launched, flying straight through the battle zone toward the damaged diplomatic vessel. On the Harmony's voice, Captain Tay and his crew heard the muffled sounds of combat outside. The coalition soldiers who had been cutting through their door had stopped. Shouts in alien languages echoed through the corridors, along with the distinctive crack of human kinetic weapons. "Someone's fighting the coalition troops," Juan said, hope creeping into his voice. The door exploded inward, but it wasn't coalition soldiers who entered. Lieutenant Na, her powered armor scorched from energy weapon hits, stepped through. "Ambassador G, Captain Tay, Commander Sung sends his regards. We're getting you out of here." The Marines formed a protective corridor. G and the surviving crew ran through passages littered with fallen coalition soldiers. The human weapons had been devastatingly effective in close quarters. Na's team had cut through the borders like they weren't even there. They reached the dropship just as the Harmony's voice shuddered from another hit. "She's breaking up," Na said. "We need to go now." The dropship launched, and seconds later, the diplomatic vessel's reactor went critical. The explosion was bright but brief. She watched her ship die. thinking of all the hope she had carried aboard it. The hope for peace. The hope for a friendly galaxy, all gone now. The dropship docked with the Fury. G stepped onto the battleship and was immediately struck by how different it was from her diplomatic vessel. Everything here was built for war. Heavy armor, weapons, Marines in power armor standing ready at every intersection. Commander Sung met them in the hangar. He was older than G expected, with gray at his temples and lines around his eyes. A soldier's face. Ambassador, Captain, welcome aboard. I wish it were under better circumstances. How many of them are there? G asked, getting straight to business. 23 warships in this immediate area. We've destroyed 8, damaged 12. The rest are withdrawing. Withdrawing? Tay couldn't believe it. We're one ship against their entire fleet. They've never fought anyone like us, Sung replied. Their weapons can't penetrate our armor. Our weapons go through their shields like they don't exist. They're not equipped for this kind of war. He led them to the bridge. The main screen showed the coalition fleet in disarray. Some ships were pulling back. Others tried to maintain formation, but their coordination was breaking down. They had expected easy prey. They had found a predator. Open all channels, Sung ordered. I want every coalition ship in range to hear this. The communications officer nodded. All channels open, Commander. Sung's voice echoed across space, carried on every frequency the coalition used. This is Commander Sung of the United Nations Space Command Battleship Tempest's Fury. You attacked human civilians under a flag of peace. You massacred our colonies. You attempted to exterminate our species without provocation. We came to you offering friendship. You chose genocide. G watched the screen as coalition ships continued to fall back. They were listening. You wanted to see our hidden strength? Sung continued. You wanted to know what we were hiding? Behold, this is one battleship. We have 12 more just like it, and they're heading to your colonies right now. We can reach your homeworlds before you can warn them. We can do to you what you tried to do to us. The coalition fleet stopped withdrawing. They weren't running anymore. They were frozen in fear. But we won't, Sung said, his voice softer now. Not yet. Not if you stand down. You have one chance to choose peace. Withdraw your forces from human space. Call off your attack fleets, or learn why humanity survived 10,000 years of warfare on their homeworld. We are very, very good at killing. We just hoped we wouldn't have to show you. Sung cut the transmission. The bridge was silent. Then slowly the coalition ships began to move. Not toward the Fury, away from it. One by one they activated their fold drives and jumped to safety. Within 10 minutes, the space around the Fury was empty except for wreckage and debris. Status report, Sung ordered. Jia checked her console. Armor damage at 15%. Weapon systems fully operational. We're combat ready, Day added. Reactor still stable. We took their best shots and barely felt it. G looked at the debris field that had been a coalition fleet. How many did we kill? 8 ships destroyed, Na reported. Estimated crew complement 300 per vessel. About 2,400 casualties. And that's just from this engagement. 2,400 alien lives ended in minutes. G felt sick. But then she remembered the colonies. 5 million dead on Colony 7. 7 million on Colony 3, 3 million on Colony 12. The coalition had struck first. They had killed civilians, women, children. What now? She asked Sung. Now we wait, he replied. They'll regroup. They'll analyze what happened. They'll realize we weren't bluffing about the other 12 ships. And then they'll have to decide, do they want peace or do they want war with an enemy they can't see coming? Tay stepped beside G, his hand on her shoulder. You wanted peace, Ambassador. So did all of us. But sometimes you have to fight for peace. Sometimes you have to show strength before others will respect you. G nodded slowly. The naive diplomat who believed in words and treaties was gone. In her place stood someone harder, someone who understood that in a dangerous galaxy, survival sometimes meant showing teeth. Commander Sung, she said formally, on behalf of Earth Command and the human colonies, I authorize you to take whatever actions are necessary to protect our people. If the coalition wants war, we'll give them war. If they want peace, they'll negotiate from a position of respect, not fear. Sung saluted. Understood, Ambassador. Let's hope they choose wisely. The Tempest's Fury powered up its fold drive, preparing to jump to the next battle. Because this fight was far from over. It had only just begun. 6 months after the battle at Vela Nexus, the galaxy was burning, not with the fire of open warfare between massive fleets, but with something far more terrifying. Humanity had turned the Coalition's own tactics against them. They struck from shadows, appearing without warning, destroying what they needed to destroy, and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. Ambassador G sat in the medical bay of the Tempest's Fury, watching Dr. Me treat wounded soldiers. The ship had become a mobile command center for humanity's shadow war. Every week brought more casualties, both human and alien. Every week the numbers grew larger. How many today? G asked quietly. Dr. Me didn't look up from her patient. 17 wounded from the raid on the Vraxian shipyard. 3 won't make it through the night. And that's just us. The Coalition casualties from that raid alone were over 2,000. G closed her eyes. 2,000 more deaths on her conscience. She tried to tell herself they were soldiers, that they had chosen to fight. But she knew better. Many of them were just workers at the shipyard. Engineers, technicians, people who had never wanted this war. Commander Sung entered the medical bay, his uniform showing signs of the strain they were all under. Ambassador, we need to talk. The War Council is meeting in 10 minutes. The War Council had become a daily ritual. Sung, Ji, Captain Tay, and the senior officers gathered to plan the next strike, assess the damage from the last one, and try to find a way to end this before the entire galaxy collapsed into chaos. In the conference room, Lieutenant Na presented the tactical situation. The Coalition has pulled back their fleets to defend their core worlds. Their supply lines are in tatters. 3 of their major shipyards are destroyed. Their economy is starting to collapse under the strain. Good, Sung said. That was the plan. Make them realize they can't win a war of attrition against an enemy they can't find. At what cost? Weapons Officer Hai asked. She had changed over the past 6 months. The young, hopeful officer was gone, replaced by someone who had seen too much death. We've killed over 50,000 Coalition personnel. Most of them weren't even military. They killed 15 million of our civilians, Sung replied coldly. This is war. People die in war. But are we winning? Ji asked. We're destroying their infrastructure, yes. But we can't keep this up forever. Earth Command reports that we're running low on missiles, on reactor fuel, on everything. And they want more. They want us to strike the Coalition homeworlds directly. The room fell silent. Striking the homeworlds meant killing billions. It meant becoming the monsters the Coalition had feared from the beginning. Chief Engineer Day spoke up. There might be another way. Our stealth technology is still unmatched. We've proven we can strike anywhere, anytime. Maybe it's time to use that as leverage instead of just a weapon. Leverage for what? Tay asked. Peace talks, Day said. Real ones this time. Not the trap they set for us before. Sung shook his head. They tried to exterminate us. Why would we trust them now? Because the alternative is mutual destruction, Ji said. Commander, you've made your point. The Coalition knows we're strong. They know we can hurt them. They know they can't defeat us with conventional warfare. But we can't defeat them either. There are too many of them. Eventually, they'll adapt to our tactics or we'll run out of resources. We need to find a way to end this before it destroys both sides. Before Sung could respond, the communications officer burst into the room. Commander, we're receiving a transmission. It's from a Coalition admiral. He's asking to speak with you directly. He says it's urgent. Sung exchanged glances with Ji. Put him through, but keep weapons hot. This could be a trick. The screen flickered to life, showing an alien Ji had never seen before. He had 6 limbs and copper-colored skin that seemed to glow faintly. A Talani, Dr. Me had called them. One of the Coalition's warrior species. I am Admiral Vorn of the Talani fleet, the alien said in heavily accented English. Commander Sung, I am contacting you without authorization from the High Council. What I am about to say could be considered treason by my government. Sung leaned forward. I'm listening. This war is destroying both our peoples, Vorn continued. The High Council refuses to admit it, but we cannot win. You have proven that. Your stealth technology, your weapons, your tactics, they are beyond anything we can counter. But you cannot win either. You are too few. Eventually, attrition will defeat you. Get to the point, Admiral, Sung said. I want to propose peace talks. Real negotiations, not the trap we set before. I have convinced several other admirals to support this. Together, we represent 40% of the Coalition's military strength. We can force the High Council to negotiate. Ji stepped into view of the camera. Admiral Vorn, I am Ambassador Ji. The last time we tried peace talks, your government used them as cover to commit genocide. Why should we believe you now? Vorn's expression was difficult to read, but his voice carried genuine emotion. Because I have seen what your people can do. You have destroyed our shipyards. You have crippled our economy. You have killed thousands of our soldiers. But you have not struck our civilian centers. You have not attacked our home worlds. You could have. We know you have the capability, but you chose restraint. He paused, then continued. My government thought you were weak because you spoke of peace. They thought you were hiding strength because you feared us. They were wrong on both counts. You were hiding strength because you hoped you would never need to use it. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Sung looked at Ji. She could see the question in his eyes. Do we trust this? Can we afford to trust this? What are your terms? Ji asked Vorn. Meet us at the Zentara system. Neutral ground. Bring whatever protection you need. We will not attack. I stake my honor and my life on that promise. In return, you must prove you can show mercy, not just destruction. Order your other ships to cease their attacks for 1 week. Give us time to convince the High Council that peace is possible. Sung was already shaking his head. Cease attacks. That gives your military time to regroup to fortify their positions. Yes, Vorn agreed. It does. Just as meeting at Zentara gives you the opportunity to destroy our capital if this is a trap. We are both taking risks, Commander. That is what trust requires. Ji placed her hand on Sung's arm. This is what we've been fighting for. A chance to end this without destroying each other. Or it's another trap, Sung muttered. Then we spring it with all 13 battleships ready to level their capital, Ji replied. But if it's genuine, if there's even a chance to end this war, we have to take it. Sung studied Vorn's face on the screen. He had spent 6 months killing aliens, 6 months proving humanity's strength. Maybe it was time to prove they could be more than just warriors. 1 week, Sung said finally. We'll cease offensive operations for 1 week. But Admiral, understand this. If this is a trick, if you're buying time to prepare an attack, we will not show mercy again. We will end this war by ending the coalition. Every world, every station, every ship. We will salt the earth and leave nothing but ghosts. Vorn nodded solemnly. I understand, Commander. And I give you my word as a warrior and an officer. This is not a trick. We are tired of this war. We want peace. We want to find a way to coexist. Then we'll see you at Zentara, Ji said. 1 week from today. The transmission ended. The War Council sat in silence, processing what had just happened. They had been given a chance at peace. Real peace, not the false promises of before. Orders? Na asked. Sung took a deep breath. Send the ceasefire order to all human vessels. No offensive operations for 1 week, but keep them ready. If this goes wrong, we hit them with everything we have. As the officers filed out to carry out their orders, Ji remained seated. Tay sat down beside her. Do you think it will work? He asked. I don't know, Ji admitted, but I have to believe it's possible. Because the alternative is more death, more destruction, until there's nothing left worth fighting for. Tay nodded. You know what the worst part is? Both sides want the same thing now. We all want this to end. We're just too afraid to trust each other. Then we'll have to find the courage to trust, Ji said, even if it kills us, because the cost of not trusting might be even higher. The Tempest's fury set course for Zentara, and humanity held its breath. In 1 week, they would either find peace or finish what the coalition had started. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same.